we need to remember this is the only face of racism, and racism isn't applied to right or left. Yes, the Tories are involved in this, but it's spell right or left, let alone think politically. But there is a right reading room from the Muslims activists to rather like on the streets who are going to cause great damage and danger. And that is what's happening. It's not to stop.
The former Met Commissioner Stevenson also said he supported the current Commissioner Lee, saying that he has a heck of a job to do and was doing a good job. Listen, speaking. But it's time to campaigners are welcoming the decision to fine three water companies £116 million for failing to prevent sewage spills. Thames Water, the lion's share of that, receiving a penalty of £104 million. Joining our live on LBC News is Greenpeace's UK Director of Policy, Doug Parr. Thanks for joining on the programme. You must be pleased that it won't be going these funds into customers' bills.
Resourced with the staff and expertise to make sure that it's policing of sewage pollution and the economic model that drives it. Because it seems to me that the experiment with privatisation of wastewater stream is somewhat failed.
We know that some of these companies are under financial pressure, including Thames Water. It's in the grip of a funding crisis, £15 billion worth of debt. It said last month that only has enough money to continue trading until the end of May 2025. Would you like to see firms like that actually go under and come back into public ownership?
I think there's merit in looking at different models. I mean, public ownership is just one of them, and it might well be the right one. Others can make a judgment about that. I think what I would say at this point is that we know the existing model has failed. We need to find something that channels more money into the investment in the infrastructure that is going to be needed, as well as cleverer ways of looking at controlling stormwater that we use at the moment, rather than just hard infrastructure, looking at floodplain management, natural systems and so on. But the core point is that the current model isn't working. We've got to find a way where public interest is brought to the fore in the way that we manage this critical resource. Because sewage pollution is only one of the problems that we've got. You referred to Thames. We've got a shortage of water resources. In other words, London might run out of water if there's a dry winter or a hot summer. I mean, it's one of the most it's one of the major cities in the world that is most at risk of that. And so, there's a whole problem with the way that we manage water in this country that the existing companies don't seem to manage terribly well. And we need regulators to get in there and a more interventionist approach to both channel money into the things that we need rather than dividends and bonuses, and to put some standards in place and get some plans in place that will actually mean that in a reasonable time scale, then we're going to see some improvement.
And we know that the figures about the amount of discharge of sewage into our rivers is shocking, the numbers themselves. I mean, fines are fine, but don't people want the pumping of the sewage to stop ASAP right now?
Well, that's exactly the point, and that's what we want, because the ecological damage, as well as the damage to people's lives and daily experience and quality of life, is quite severe. So that's what we want. We want the money channeled into the spaces where it needs to go. We don't want it, and that's why I'm saying, amongst other reasons, why channeling it into bonuses and dividends just seems like the wrong priorities, and channeling it into the debt servicing, where the financial going on with these companies is pretty extraordinary, is also not a priority. The priority needs to be to get public interest at the heart of the companies that are managing the water, and making sure that as soon as we can bear down on this on sewage pollution.
And finally, a lot of families will be holiday makers, will be dipping their toes into the sea around the UK shores. Do you think it's safe to do so, or does it depend on where you router?
It very much depends on where and when, and there are some apps out there that sort of say sewage run one, where you will get pretty much up to date on a daily basis with how much sewage run and get some sense of it's okay to go and control that. It's content that, but that is the step that we're going to
Greenpeace UK's Director of Policy, thank you so much for joining me. Some people across Scotland are receiving their exam results today. Nobody now voting time. Certificates are being sent out with various qualifications, including national five star advanced IELTS students have reported experienced issues accessing their credits are proceeding right emails. We'll dig into that a little bit later here on August News. That is the kind of just the kind of email you do not need it to be done. Many are waiting anxiously for those results. I'm Jim Diamond, to live across the UK on DAB Digital Radio, on your smart speaker and mobile player. This is NBC News. The news never stops. It's knowing that all holidays are different. That's why Saga Travel Insurance now has 5 cover options to choose from, all with a 24-hour GP service, no operation, and same-day payments when making a claim. From weekend stays to global getaways, search Saga Over 50s Travel Insurance for a quote today. Saga. Experience is everything. Same-day claims payments can be made if approved before 4 p.m. UK time. Terms and conditions apply. Provided by Stranska Insurance Limited.
Got the need for speed? At TalkTalk, you can go faster for less. Our full fibre 150 is now the same price as full fibre 65. So speed up on the UK's most reliable broadband technology without paying a penny more. Search TalkTalk Full Fibre. TalkTalk for everyone. Terms apply. See talktalk.co.uk for more details. Subject to local availability. That's 28th of August 2024. Is he going to smash the record? Will she make it to the final round? Have they got enough left to last the distance? When you're cheering on your sporting heroes, there's no feeling like live TV. However you watch, a TV licence is your must-have pass to over 400 TV channels with a whole summer of sport to really get your heart racing. just want to ring that bell anywhere, anytime. In the office, in the pub, on the bus, on a ship, on a train, on a rave, in the gym, in a library, at a wedding, at a librarian's wedding. You can even ring it in space. Under the water. Or just a good old-fashioned cowbell. Yes, that's the sweet sound of investing with AJ Bell. AJ Bell, feel good investing. The value of investments can go down as well as up.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC News.
where the news never stops. This is LBC News.
From Global News, it's 2 o'clock. I'm Jim Diamond. Good afternoon. We're being told comments from the boss of X about the violence seen in English towns and cities are unhelpful. Elon Musk claims civil war is inevitable after a week of unrest across the country. Paul Stevenson used to be head of Britain's biggest police force, the Met.
From ill-informed people outside of the country, the government job of leading and controlling and using any evidence tracking to concentrate here and now on the problems that we know should be caused.
Ministers have called the comments irresponsible. And we're just hearing that Alderhay Hospital is confirming they're able to share the whole children involved in the Southport stabbings a week ago on Monday who were in their care and now being safely discharged home. I'll bring you more details on that as we get it. Five private campaigners arrested in Manchester Airport yesterday have been charged with causing a public nuisance. Greater Manchester Police says its officers carried out an operation to prevent a targeted attack, which would have brought significant delays. The Ministry of Justice is deploying specialist officers to a prison in South London. Inspectors say there is shocking levels of chaos at HMP Wandsworth. And Laura Muir's through to the semi-finals, moving into 1,500 metres at the Olympics. The equestrians finished with 5 medals for Team GB.
LBC News. Weather.
Cloudy for London with some rain, but also the chance of sunshine and highs of 24. I'm Lucinda Horsley. I've got a full forecast in the next 15 minutes.
LBC News. Travel.
On the M25 clockwise, 2 lanes are closed for emergency repairs after junction 25 for Enfield, so it's taking about 15 minutes to queue through. It's slow in Reigate. The A217 is blocked both ways between Merstham Turning and Raglan Road because of an accident. On the tube, there are severe delays on the Jubilee and the Metropolitan lines after problems with the signals earlier. And on a train, Great Western Railway have delays of up to 20 minutes between Paddington and Reading because there's a fault on the track. That means there are also delays of around 15 minutes affecting the Heathrow Express. I'm Dave Goff. Your next update is in 20 minutes here on LBC News.
This is LBC News.
2 minutes after 2, Tuesday's programme, Jim Diamond, live across the UK. A government minister has told LBC News comments about the violence in English towns and cities by the boss of X are unjustifiable. Elon Musk is claiming civil war is inevitable after Plymouth became the latest place to see unrest. And the Justice Minister, Heidi Alexander, is not impressed.
Someone who has a large following to be exercising that power in such an irresponsible way, I think is pretty unconscionable.
To stay with LBC News, of course, we'll bring you further details on this story as we get them. We've also just been learning as well in the past few moments that the hospital, which was one of the hospitals which was caring for some of the young people that were caught up in the Southport stabbings, have now been able to be safely discharged home. They are saying Alderhay that they want to take the opportunity to thank all those involved in responding to the incident in Southport or for caring anybody affected by it, especially their colleagues in the NHS, Merseyside Police and the North West Ambulance Service. They also say they want to thank all the well-wishers who sent messages to Alderhay and to the families affected, adding our heartfelt sympathies remain with all those impacted by the events of last week in which 3 little girls died. Well, South Yorkshire's mayor has been meeting today with faith leaders following the scenes of unrest we saw in Rotherham and Sheffield. Let's get the latest live. LBC News Yorkshire reporter Alex Taylor-Brown was at the event. What did we hear, Alex?
Yes, good afternoon, Jim. Well, as you mentioned, the faith leaders from across South Yorkshire have been here today meeting with the region's mayor, Oliver Coppard. This is after the violent disorder we saw in Rotherham on Sunday, aimed at a hotel which was housing asylum seekers. The Mayor has been explaining to me what reassurance is in place for both faith leaders and ethnic minorities who are concerned about what's happened in the last few days.
We are obviously working locally to make sure that there is police protection and support wherever we need to put it. But frankly, look, what we need to say first and foremost is those people don't represent us, and as one community, we're not going to stand for it. We do not accept that those people in Rotherham can perpetrate that violence against those people in that hotel. That's not who we are as a place. And those people in that room this morning, indeed those wider minority and faith communities, have our full support.
Mohammed Ali was one of the people who was here at this meeting today. He's the coordinator of the Federation of Mosques in Sheffield. He told me what concerns they have regarding the scenes that we have seen on the streets.
Some of the concerns were around the mosque, because we've seen in Sunderland and other cities where they've been targeted, we've had reassurances that the police presence will be around them. But by and large, the message from each community and the Muslim communities, nobody's going to stay away from mosque. Everybody will be attending mosque. We need to live our life normally rather than live in fear.
Earlier it was confirmed 6 people have been charged in connection with what we saw in Rotherham over the weekend. 3 men are accused of violent disorder. 1 man's accused of violent disorder and the assault of an emergency worker, and 2 boys aged 16 and 17 have also been charged with violent disorder. 700 protesters turned up to the Holiday Express Inn on Sunday, many wearing masks and England flags. Windows were smashed, wheelie bins were set on fire and pushed against doors so people couldn't get out. Yesterday a man appeared in court over disorder we saw in Sheffield on the same day. He'll be back in court on Friday, and we're told the asylum seekers that were in the Holiday Inn Express in Ross just outside of Rotherham have been moved to another location.
Alex Taylor Brown, thank you so much.
LBC News. Breaking now.
Well, reports coming out of America suggesting that Kamala Harris has chosen the Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as her running mate for this year's presidential election. It hasn't been confirmed officially. We are expecting the details of Kamala Harris's VP to certainly be confirmed by the end of play today, because there is a number of events which will be taking place for that. If it is indeed Mr. Walz, she will be turning to a Midwestern governor, military veteran, and union supporter who's helped enact an ambitious democratic agenda for his state, including sweeping protections for abortion rights and generous aid to families. Ms. Harris hopes to shore up her campaign standing across the upper Midwest, a critical region in presidential politics. It often serves as a buffer for Democrats seeking the White House. The party is remaining haunted by the Republican Donald Trump's win in Michigan and Wisconsin back in 2016. So a number of news organizations, including AP and Reuters, their sources say that Kamala Harris has picked Tim Walz as vice president, as her running mate. Stay with LBC News. We will bring you further details when we get them.
This is LBC News.
5 climate campaigners arrested in Manchester Airport yesterday have been charged with causing a public nuisance. Greater Manchester Police says its officers carried out an operation to prevent a targeted attack, which would have brought significant delays. The regulator says fines given to 3 water companies will be paid by investors and not customers. They've been told to pay more than £150 million between them for failings. We know that Thames Water's being told to pay the lion's share of that, £104 million penalty. Ofwat also fining Yorkshire Water £47 million and Northumbrian Water £17 million. Mark Wiltshire from the regulator telling LBC News what the issues are.
We found that they fell into 3 categories. Firstly, they failed to maintain their sewage treatment works, and they didn't make sure they had enough capacity in the works to deal with the sewage they were getting. Secondly, they were misusing storm overflows. These are like your safety valve in the system to be used in exceptional circumstances, but we found they were using them routinely. And thirdly, we found that they didn't quite understand their environmental obligations and had poor records. Let me just give you one example. When we started the investigation, Thames Water said they had 250 storm overflows on their network. It transpired, our investigation undercover, they had 500. And it's serious breaches like that that's led to today's penalties. Where the benefit lies for customers and the environment is this provides a real financial incentive for firms to clean up their act and look after better our rivers and seas.
Stay up to date on Global Player, the official LBC News app.
Eleanor Morgan's been chosen to be the next First Minister of Wales after a vote in the Senate. She replaces Vaughan Gething as the leader of the Welsh Labour last month. Laura McAllister, Professor of Public Policy and Governance of Wales at Cardiff University, telling LBC News there'll be high expectations.
I think much was made of a much more cordial relationship between a Labour Welsh government and a Labour UK government under Keir Starmer, but we've already seen that there isn't going to be any funds forthcoming from UK government. So I think the public will have higher expectations of that relationship between two Labour governments, but I'm not sure that that's going to be delivered in a way they would expect.
Right now it is 2:10. Great Britain's equestrian team have finished the Paris Olympics with 5 medals, including 2 golds, but they were unable to add any more in the morning's individual show jumping. Let's go live to LBC News sports reporter Chris Cave, who of course is in Paris. You'll know that of the whole event. And Chris, let's start there then. So some great golds in the equestrian.
Yeah, terrific performance from the British equestrian side, given the fact there was disruption in the build-up to their Olympic Games with the withdrawal of Charlotte Dujardin, who's been very prominent in the equestrian scene for Great Britain for quite some years. So they had to deal with that. So the medal haul they got here in Paris is commendable, but they haven't been able to add to that tally today. Ben Mayer and Scott Brash were unable to add to Team B's medal tally. That was after Harry Charles had withdrawn from the jumping event as well. I have to say, the sun's beating down here in Paris. There is a nice steady breeze as well, which is kind of taking the edge off, because I think without it, people would be melting. And fair play to all the athletes who are out there in these conditions competing, because I'm sure it will affect some more than others who may not be used to it. Currently in action, we're seeing Sky Brown at La Concours in the Women's Park skateboarding qualifying rounds. She's only 16 years old, and she's the defending champion, having won that title in Tokyo in 2021, aged just 13. Her score of 84.75 looks good at the moment to see her through to this evening's final, but there was bad news for Lola Tanding. It looks like she is going out in the prelims.
Meantime, the women's 10-metre platform diving final is getting underway.
It's been a fantastic Games for the divers for Great Britain as well. Before this Olympic Games, Britain hadn't won a women's diving medal in more than 6 decades, and we've added a couple already here for the women in Paris. It's Lois Coulson and Andrea Spendolini-Syriac who are hoping to not make a splash, as it were, in women's 10 metres. China very much the nation to beat there. They've been absolutely incredible in this Games so far. And sticking with diving, Jack Law and Jordan Hogan both through to the men's 3-metre springboard final following their efforts earlier.
Let's look at one of the biggest rivalries in athletics is taking place tonight. Great Britain's Josh Kerr. He's all about the 1500 metres final. Who's he up against?
His great rival, Norway's Jakob Ingebrigtsen, and they've exchanged verbal sparring in the build-up to this race. It's going to be highly anticipated. I'm really looking forward to the noise inside Stade de France when those two head towards that finish line in the 1500 metres. Kerr is the reigning world champion. Ingebrigtsen is the defending Olympic champion. Will he still be Olympic champion come 10 o'clock this evening? We'll have to wait and see. But Josh Kerr very much hoping that he can add to his already impressive medal collection. Gold for him following the efforts of Keely Hodgkinson last night. Hopefully that will be an influential factor for him, and he be inspired by her achievements. It will be another superb athletics gold medal for Great Britain if Josh Kerr can go and deliver.
Great to talk to you live in Paris. We'll speak to you hopefully in an hour or so from now. That is LBC News sports reporter Chris Cave.
Listen on your smart speaker.
Play LBC News.
So, reports suggesting this hour that Kamala Harris picking Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as her running mate for November's presidential election. The news agencies AP and Reuters are both quoting anonymous sources. The current vice president will hope the military veteran and union supporter can help her shore up her campaign, standing in the critical upper Midwest region. As I mentioned before, we shall wait and see for the official confirmation as to who Kamala Harris has picked as her VP. In the meantime, 2:15, Jim Diamond with you live across the UK. Have you paid your council tax bill? Because council tax arrears have risen to £6 billion a year, 2/3 more than before the pandemic. Some 1.3 million households struggling to pay theirs, many of them the lowest incomes, according to a report by the centre-right think tank, the Centre for Social Justice. We'll be speaking to Matthew Greenwood about that before 3 o'clock. Those in arrears face harsh enforcement measures imposed by town halls and perhaps a knock on the door by the bailiffs. But coming up next on LBC News, the political reaction to the violent disorder we've seen on Britain streets.
LBC News weather.
After a cloudy start with some drizzle, we should see some brighter spells into the afternoon across London. Feeling warm with highs of 24 degrees. Clear this evening with some nice sunny spells. Another mild night with lows of around 15 degrees ahead of a bright start tomorrow. Mostly dry but a bit cooler with highs of 22. Then a mix of sunshine and showers on Thursday and Friday. Staying mostly dry and bright for Saturday, but unsettled again by Sunday.
LBC News.
Most homes could save with Octopus Energy.
I'm glad to be part of your company now. But I've heard about it and people coming out on the radio and saying about it. It sounded genuine.
Oh, we're really glad to have you as well.
Octopus Energy, outstanding value with award-winning customer service. Visit octopus.energy/value for our calculation. Calling all black cab drivers. Let's talk about those quieter times when your meter is taking a little nap. And those quiet places with empty return trips. Why not consider Uber? Upload your documents in minutes and join the hundreds of black cab drivers already earning on Uber. Black cabs on Uber are priced by your meter. Plus you receive 0% service fee and £400 when you sign up and take your first trip. Turn downtime into prime time. Go to uber.com/black cabs to start earning today. 0% service fee ends end of September. Terms and conditions apply.
They say man can't live on bread alone. Well, that's why they invented the toaster. Good job too. Otherwise, Warburtons, who are making this ad, might not have invented their, says here, iconic toasty loaf. And because of their, again underlined, iconic toasty loaf, Warburtons use the best wheat they can, thanks to the long-term relationships they built with their farmers. Good stuff is baked in at Warburtons. For more on their bread engines, give me strength. Search Warburton's good stuff.
How exciting is it to play the British Heart Foundation's weekly flutter? Exciting enough to get your heart racing. Just a little bit. Like texting a mate. At the same time they text you. Like flipping pancakes with majestic grace. Or spotting that last parking space. Yes, with the added joy of knowing the money you donate helps to fund life-saving research. £1 to play, £1,000 to win every week. Search British Heart Foundation Weekly Lottery. See, it's a little bit exciting.
Gamble responsibly. Over 18s only. T's and C's apply. Please see our website for more details. British Heart Foundation is a registered charity.
Oh, she's off! The corner shop is inside! The National Lottery sign is there, and she's heading right for it! Look at Rebecca. She's making a real difference just by playing the National Lottery. Her numbers help fund Team GB and Paralympics GB athletes, powering their journey to Paris, one ticket at a time. Oh, just look at her go! Unbelievable stuff! Changing lives like it's a walk to the shops.
The National Lottery, changing lives every day. Rules and procedures apply. Players must be 18 or over.
For sunny seaside giggles, hunting on the river, strolling down cobbled streets, beachside fish and chips, or breathtaking city sunsets. Wow. Hop on board a Southeastern train and see more this summer. No booking fees when you buy train tickets from Southeastern. The price you see is the price you pay.
Most homes would save with Octopus Energy. Outstanding value with award-winning customer service. Visit octopus.energy/value for our calculation.
LBC News. Travel.
Keys on the M25 clockwise, 2 lanes are closed after junction 25 for Enfield because of emergency repairs. There were also queues on the M25 clockwise after there was an accident earlier after junction 24 for Potters Bar. It's slow in Reigate. The A217 is blocked both ways between Merston Turning and Raglan Road because of an accident. It's slow in Ravlet. Theobald Street is closed both ways because of an accident between Craighwell Avenue and Rossington Avenue. On the tube, there are severe delays on the Jubilee and Metropolitan lines. I'm Dave Goff. Your next update is in 20 minutes here on LBC News.
This is LBC News.
It's 2:20. I'm Jim Diamond. Elon Musk has drawn criticism for saying civil war is inevitable after a week of unrest across the UK, with ministers calling his comments about the violence irresponsible. Five public campaigners who were arrested in Manchester Airport yesterday have been charged with causing a public nuisance after police stopped a targeted operation that they say would have caused delays. The teenagers appeared in the Old Bailey accused of killing a 20-year-old in Peckham in South East London, who was shot in an alleyway near his home in July. And the Ministry of Justice deploying specialist officers to a prison in South London after reports that there are shocking levels of chaos at HMP Wandsworth.
This is LBC News.
Good afternoon, Tim Diamond with you live across the UK this Tuesday afternoon. Let's bring you up to speed with the very latest, because we know additional prison spaces are going to be opening up to house any rioters. Dozens more people that are involved in the disorder of the last week are being hauled before the courts. Last night there was trouble in Plymouth, fireworks and stones were thrown. There was violence too in Birmingham and in Belfast as well. We know the Cabinet have been convening to discuss what should happen. LBC has been hearing as well from Heidi Alexander all about what kind of reaction and action the government is taking. And let's bring in, speak live on LBC News to our political correspondent Aggie Chandra is with me now. We did get to get a readout, did we not, from what was said around the table?
Indeed we did, and this kind of helped, I suppose, to flesh out exactly what the government is doing. Of course, we've heard from the Prime Minister now 3 different times since this disorder started in the streets, in a press conference, in an address to Downing Street, and yesterday in a clip. So he's announced, of course, that standing army of specialist police officers, a new violent disorder unit, 24-hour courts, and as you mentioned just then, prison spaces. Prison is obviously more of a pressure point for the government. They have talked extensively about how few spaces there are. They've now got these 500 new spaces coming online and think they are confident they can get through to September the 10th, when new measures that they have announced will be brought in. Now, as mentioned, there was Cabinet this morning. So one of the things Sir Keir said to his Cabinet was talked about it should be called violent disorder and needs to be treated as such as criminal activity. This comes after Neil Basu, who held the top counter-terror job between 2018 and 2021, said that some of the violence he thought crossed the line into terrorism. So that language there not being picked up by Sir Keir in Cabinet. He also said 99.9% of people across the country want their streets to be safe and to feel safe in their communities, and we will take all necessary action to bring disorder to an end. Now, I mentioned there about the specialist police officers, the standing army as he called them. We have gleaned a bit more information here at LBC about what that actually looks like. So police officers has told us that almost 6,000 officers have been mobilised as part of that, and that represents 30% of all public order trained police in the country. That was put in place yesterday, and 100% of all public order trained police in the country would be 18,000 officers, and there is scope to scale up that mobilised figure as needed through the week.
There's a lot of concern about what Elon Musk is saying. He is, of course, the owner of the social media media platform X, formerly known as Twitter, and some of his comments that he has made with regard to what has been happening here is certainly catching the eye of politicians, and no doubt it would do, because, you know, he has got 193 million followers. There is concern about what impact people, high-profile people, have and where you draw the line on free speech.
Indeed, and we know this is something the government's looking at very closely. The Science and Technology Secretary, Peter Kyle, has been meeting social media bosses one-on-one in the last few days. I think he had those meetings yesterday because the government has said social media companies need to do more to stop the spread of hateful disinformation and incitement. On Elon Musk specifically, obviously the comments he made was that civil war was now inevitable. That was slapped down yesterday by the Prime Minister's spokesperson, who said there is no justification for comments like that, and anyone who is whipping up violence online will face the full force of the law. But then, Jim, Musk replied to a social media post from Sakir saying, shouldn't you be concerned about attacks on all communities? So, you know, this war of words is not something the Prime Minister will really want to be drawn into, but it was something that one of his Justice Ministers, Heidi Alexander, talked about this morning.
Thank you very much indeed for that live update, Aggie Schomburg. We're also keeping a close watch on what's happening over in America. Lots of news organisations are calling Tim Walz as the running mate, the vice president's running mate for Kamala Harris on the Democratic side of things. No official word yet from the Harris team. We're expecting that to happen, though, in due course later today in terms of who is picked. If it is Tim Walz, he is a Midwestern governor, military veteran, union supporter, who helped enact an ambitious democratic agenda for his state, including sweeping protections for abortion rights and generous aid to families. We'll share with you as soon as we get official word on who the VP is here on LBC News. In a moment, we'll be looking at the exam results coming in for many students in Scotland. But first, a word on this. The UN's Palestinian Refugee Agency has sacked 9 employees in Gaza. An internal review has found they may have played a part in the October 7th attacks by Hamas on Israel. International correspondent Sam Kiley telling LBC News the UN hasn't elaborated on their possible roles.
This comes after long allegations going back to fairly soon after the October 7th attacks made by Israel that the UNRWA, which is absolutely critical to the survival effectively of people in Gaza, that some of their Gazan staff may have been involved in the October 7th attacks. Now, they investigated 19 staff members and have found that 9 may have been involved in these attacks, and they have been fired. And you recall many months ago now, the United Kingdom, United States and others suspended funding to UNRWA, which runs most of the schools in Gaza. It runs feeding programs. It's really what supports the Palestinians both in Gaza and to a lesser extent in the West Bank, and has done since the end of the 1948-49 war, and indeed since 1967, those 2 major conflicts with the Palestinians and the Israelis. So they've been essential to the kind of ongoing humanitarian support for Palestinians, but of course the Israelis have long maintained that UNRWA is providing cover for what they call terrorists. Of course, the UN has flatly denied that.
Listen on your smart speaker.
Play LBC News.
Exam time is stressful, of course. If you have taken one, I took mine many years ago. And imagine if you're receiving them, certainly wouldn't receive mine by email. Do we have email back then? I think we got a letter in the post where you had to go and look at the board yourself to find out your results. Mine were okay. But some students in Scotland were getting an email, and when they opened the email to find out what they got, they just saw a blank message. Let's go to our Scotland reporter right away. Rebecca Brady joins me now, LBC News Scotland reporter. Rebecca, am I right? Do some people get some blank emails?
Absolutely, Jim. It seemed to be the people who had signed up specifically to get their results by email rather than by email and text or post and text. it seemed to be that issue, but the SQA, the Scottish Qualifications Authority, says it has now been resolved and it only affected a minority of learners. But this morning I was at Liberton High School, a high school here in Edinburgh, where I saw tears, cheers and high fives as the 4th, 5th and 6th year pupils received their results promptly at 8 a.m. For most of them, a weight has been lifted and they're ready to celebrate. Let's hear from them.
I was very shocked because I was not expecting that, but it's definitely a relief knowing that they're unexpected.
It's find out, just couldn't feel better.
It was nerve-wracking, really nerve-wracking.
I just found out that I've gotten the grace to get into Cambridge, study veterinary medicine. I was so nervous because it's been such a long build-up.
For some, as always, there have been disappointments, and for others, just getting their exam results, as we say, has proven to be a debacle. The Scottish Qualifications Authority has received complaints from parents across social media because of those emails where it was blank when the results should have been present. Some even took to the UCAS website itself to figure out roughly what they had achieved based on whether they'd been accepted or rejected from their university of choice. That issue has apparently been resolved now, as the SQA tweeted it was a technical issue and the vast majority of learners were unaffected. That's 145,000 people across Scotland, Jim, waiting for those results today. But the focus is not just on academics and a future in university, as head teacher Alison Humphreys has told me.
Everyone matters, so everyone's pathway matters. We have to get the curriculum and the courses right for all learners and have options there at all levels in a whole breadth of what would be traditional academic subjects and more vocational pathways.
Well, Liberton does offer vocational courses, and one of the pupils who took on many of those is Paige, who's been telling me she didn't expect to finish school.
I didn't think I was going to get any qualifications, to be honest, so I've left with as much as I can, and that's really all. And the school's done enough for me. I'm going to college for childcare, level 5. After college, I want to try and do foster caring, so I want to make sure all the kids get the fair opportunity.
The number of Scottish students getting into Scottish universities has hit a record high today, up 7% to more than 31,000. But right across Scotland, the pass rate has dropped slightly at all school exam levels. That's the percentage of learners getting a grade in between a C and an A. It's unclear exactly why, but yet again, the Scottish Qualifications Authority has taken into consideration the impact of COVID-19 on learners. This year, markers were only factoring the pandemic in for students who'd never sat a formal exam before. There are options for those who didn't quite get what they hoped. Erin Bartley's from Skills Development Scotland.
Not everybody's career journey is straightforward. It might be that you have to take lots of twists and turns before you get to your goal, but we're here to make sure that you know what twists and turns to take.
It's important to note that exam results are not everything in life, but the Scottish Government is committed to reforming the system. We'll hear their plans in the coming weeks, but it is thought there will be a move to reduce the overall number of examinations, perhaps becoming more in line with the rest of the UK. Jim.
LBC News Scholar reporter Rebecca Brady, thank you.
This is LBC News.
Anna St Morgan's been chosen to be the new First Minister of Wales, who is formally elected by members of the Senate this morning and will take over from Vaughan Gething, who resigned after just 4 months in the job. Baroness Morgan is the first woman to become First Minister and paid tribute to her predecessors.
As I take up the mantle of leadership, I promise to honour their achievements and add my own distinctive contribution to this legacy, perhaps with a vibrant splash of colour. The grey suits are out. This is an historic day as a woman becomes the First Minister of Wales for the first time in our history. Women watching today, you need to know your potential is limitless. The path to leadership is not now just a possibility, it's a reality. And I look forward to the day when a woman becoming First Minister is no longer extraordinary, but a normal part of our Welsh political life.
This is LBC News.
Water regulators propose fines of £116 million to 3 companies for failing to manage sewage spills. Thames Water will have to pay £104 million of that, Yorkshire receiving a £47 million penalty, and Northumbrian Water fined £17 million. Doug Parr is Greenpeace UK's Director of Policy and told LBC News the current way of regulating water companies isn't working.
I think there's merit in looking at different models. I mean, public ownership is just one of them, and it might well be the right one. Others can make a judgment about that. I think what I would say at this point is that we know the existing model has failed. We need to find something that channels more money into the investment in the infrastructure that is going to be needed, as well as cleverer ways of looking at controlling stormwater that we use at the moment, rather than just hard infrastructure, looking at floodplain management and natural systems and so on. But the core point is that the current model isn't working.
And now I am one, which is absolutely crazy, and I've got the privilege to know Dame Kelly Holmes as well over the last couple of years, and I love her energy, and you can just see how she was so successful as well. So to join them two great women is just incredible.
Today on the track, Laura Muir and Georgia Bell have both qualified for the semi-finals of the women's 1500 metres. Victoria Ahuragu is through to the next round of the women's 400 metres. Scott Brash and Ben Maher have both missed out on the final of the equestrian individual show jumping room. Rangers will try and make a positive start to their Champions League third qualifying round tie later. They're taking on Dynamo Kyiv in Poland tonight, with the second leg in Glasgow next week. Manager Philippe Clement says they're going to do what they can to get through to the group stage.
All the European competitions evolve that much that also in Europa League you have really big games. Even in Conference League at the end stage you can have really big games. Playing in Europe is always exciting, but of course everybody wants to go to Champions League because it makes a big difference financially, and you only have top games there.
The New Saints are in Europa League qualifying action at Moldovan side Petra Cup later. Manchester City have agreed a deal to sell striker Julian Alvarez to Atletico Madrid for £82 million. The player still has to agree personal terms before the transfer officially goes through. And Wigan Warriors have a chance to go top of Rugby League's Super League later. They're at home against Leigh, who will go up to 7th with a win.
LBC News Weather.
After a cloudy start with some drizzle, we should see some brighter spells into the afternoon across London. Feeling warm with highs of 24 degrees. Clear this evening with some nice sunny spells. Another mild night with lows of around 15 degrees ahead of a bright start tomorrow. Mostly dry but a bit cooler with highs of 22. Then a mix of sunshine and showers on Thursday and Friday. Staying mostly dry and bright for Saturday, but unsettled again on Sunday.
Start your day with LBC News.
The reality is the criminal justice system and our prisons are stretched. So should there be a change in approach?
It needs to be combined, so that means arresting those that are actually committing the violence and includes those that are inciting the violence.
Weekdays from 6 a.m.
A dream come true then for Keely Hodgkinson. She looks brilliant crossing the finishing line.
It looks like we've got a superstar on our hands at just 22 years old. She's continued to get even better, even stronger, even quicker.
On your radio, on Global Player, and on your smart speaker. This is LBC News.
TikTok official sponsors of Team GB, and here's Olympic heptathlete Katarina Johnson-Thompson for Great Britain.
I started athletics when my PE teacher said,
"Why don't you give high jump a go?"
And I've been obsessed with athletics ever since. Now, when I want to start something new, I start on TikTok. Like recently, I searched for book talk. It started with a gripping dude on it. Now I have a reading list that's 800 meters long. Search Team GB on TikTok and follow the journey to Paris. It starts on TikTok.
Listeners, we've uncovered the reason why Britain hasn't been so great of late. It's because the country hasn't been eating enough Weetabix. So to whoever's in charge of fixing potholes, to VAR and people who somehow managed to park over 2 bays, we must say, have you had your Weetabix?
How exciting is it to play the British Heart Foundation's weekly flutter? Ka-ching! Exciting enough to get your heart racing. Just a little bit. Like texting a mate. The same time they text you. like flipping pancakes with majestic grace, or spotting that last parking space. Yes, with the added joy of knowing the money you donate helps to fund life-saving research. £1 to play, £1,000 to win every week. Search British Heart Foundation Weekly Lottery. See, it's a little bit exciting.
Gamble responsibly. Over 18s only. T's and C's apply. Please see our website for more details. British Heart Foundation is a registered charity.
Want to upgrade your summer? From paddling pools to infinity pools. From cooling off by the fan to fangirling at a festival. And maybe your car could do with a summer upgrade too. At the Volvo Summer Sale event, with a range of offers available across selected new and used cars. From the 9th to 19th of August. Search Volvo Summer Sale event to book your place and swap your current car for luxury Swedish design. Don't worry, they all come with aircon.
Offers available on selected new and used cars and vary by model, subject to availability. Used offer on cars up to 12 months old. Finance provided by Volvo Car Financial Services UK Limited. Terms apply.
Imagine if that me, you know the one, could actually take a pic of your festival fit and get the DJ in too. No need to imagine. Just unfold your new Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 6 and watch as AI and auto zoom fits everyone and everything in shot. Now that's defo going on the grid.
Galaxy AI is here on the Galaxy Z Flip 6. Claim £100 cashback when you purchase before the 13th of August at participating retailers. For cashback, claim from Samsung within 30 days of purchase. T's and C's apply.
Let's double check the route, okay? We're the mug and the biscuit tin is our target destination.
Only stick to B-roads.
Clever. Did you check the car?
No. The Quick Fit team did.
You still make me chuckle.
Planning the perfect getaway this summer? Make sure your car's up for the job. Book a free vehicle safety check at quickfit.com or your local centre. Quick Fit. Drive away happy every time.
LBC News. Travel.
On the M25 clockwise, two lanes are closed for emergency repairs after junction 25 for Enfield, so the queue from junction 24 for Potters Bar. It's slowing Reigate. The A217 is blocked in both directions between Merston Turning and Raglan Road because of an accident. On the tube, there are severe delays on the Jubilee and Metropolitan lines. On the Piccadilly line, there are severe delays between Acton and Heathrow Airport. And on the trains, Great Western Railway have delays of up to 20 minutes between Paddington and Reading. There's a fault on the track. I'm Dave Goff. Your next update is in 20 minutes here on LBC News.
This is LBC News.
Newsroom, it's 2:41. I'm Jim Diamond. Police said they absolutely expect more arrests to follow from the disorder in Plymouth last night as additional prison spaces are brought into use. Ministers have criticised Elon Musk for saying civil war is inevitable in the UK. Eleanor Morgan's promising to listen to everyone, not just those who shout the loudest, as she's selected as Wales's First Minister. The first woman to take up the role is promising to champion voices that have been sidelined or silenced. Reports